Hello aspirants, and a very warm welcome to this Rungta IAS Academy Explainer. If you are targeting the UPSC Civil Services, specifically GS Paper 3 Environment and Biodiversity, you will definitely want to pay close attention to this one.
Absolutely. Today, we're analyzing a brilliant paper by Dr. Vinaya Kumar, HM, from the Keladi Shivappa Nayaka University of Agricultural and Horticultural Sciences down in Shivamogga, Karnataka. It is titled Managing Coexistence in Human-Wildlife Conflict Zones, and it is going to give you that critical analytical edge you need for both your mains and the interview round.
Let's dive right in and address the elephant in the room. Pun definitely intended. We really have to ask ourselves, is human-wildlife conflict merely a conservation problem?
You know, this is exactly where a lot of aspirants end up losing marks. They write their answers treating it strictly as a policing or forest department issue. But this explainer is going to completely reframe how you approach the topic. The author strongly argues that treating it just as a law and order or conservation problem is fundamentally flawed.
So this requires a major shift in perspective. Aspirants, I want you to literally memorize this exact definition. The quote is, "Human-wildlife conflict is a complex socio-ecological challenge shaped by land use, livelihoods, and ecological change." If you get a 10 or 15 marker on this topic in GS3, this right here is your examiner impressing introductory sentence. It immediately signals that you understand the broader geographical and economic drivers, not just the ecological ones. The real conceptual shift here lies in how we perceive animal behavior. We need to start recognizing these actions as adaptive responses.
This is absolutely vital conceptual clarity for your exams. When monkeys or wild boars exploit food near forest edges, or when elephants raid crops, they aren't acting out of sheer malice or aggression. As the paper points out, these are adaptive responses to ecological constraints and cleared forests. They are just reacting to a massive imbalance, struggling for food and shelter, rather than exhibiting some kind of inherently bad behavior.
Now, let's broaden our perspective to global best practices, which is incredibly high-yield analytical fodder for your exam.
Exactly. Global policy treats this as a shared management issue. Consider how Botswana and Namibia use community-based natural resource management and tourism revenue sharing. Or look at Costa Rica, which integrates ecological corridors directly into its national planning. And then there's Finland, utilizing real-time wildlife monitoring combined with rapid compensation systems. You definitely want to cite these international best practices to show a mature administrative mindset in your answers.
All right, let's bring this framework home to the Indian context. While global examples are definitely instructive, India faces its own recurring, highly unique challenges, especially with large mammals like elephants and big cats roaming across vast, dense landscapes. The sheer scale and complexity of the human-wildlife interface here is just staggering. We are talking about hundreds of tragic human fatalities and massive livestock losses every single year. Which brings us directly to the core of your critical analysis for the body paragraphs of your essay. On one hand, we have significant, well-intentioned current efforts. We are talking compensation schemes, solar fencing, early warning tech. But Dr. Kumar points out exactly where our policy urgently needs to evolve. We need much greater timeliness in compensation, improved access for marginalized communities who are often the most affected, and far better ecological planning rather than just relying on isolated technical fixes. And speaking of isolated fixes, let's debunk a popular public debate topic: elephant fertility control. If the interview panel asks you about quick tech fixes, you can use these expert-level counter-arguments. The paper explicitly notes that such measures have very limited applicability in India because our herds range across vast, highly fragmented landscapes. Fertility control completely ignores the root cause, which is habitat loss and the intense competition for food and water. It actually distracts from the deeply necessary work of habitat restoration. So, what exactly is the administrative solution? Here is your actionable 4-step way forward.
These steps form a perfectly holistic socio-ecological solution. First, securing wildlife corridors and habitat connectivity. Second, improving comprehensive land use planning. Third, expediting and strengthening our compensation systems. And fourth, critically, involving local communities as active conservation partners. Wildlife cannot be treated just as an external threat, nor can human livelihoods be sidelined. We literally have to design landscapes that justly accommodate both.
As we wrap up this explainer, we want to leave you with a really powerful, forward-looking thought directly from the source material. Climate change is absolutely going to intensify this conflict by drastically altering resource availability. So we must ask ourselves, as climate change intensifies resource scarcity, are we prepared to design landscapes that justly accommodate both human livelihoods and wildlife? Coexistence isn't an anomaly. It is absolutely essential for our future. Aspirants, ponder this deeply as you continue your GS3 preparations. Thank you so much for joining us in this Rungta IAS Academy Explainer. Study hard, and we will see you in the next one.